So how do you get around in Vietnam, guys? And I'm talking about transportation here. So if you're coming here to visit or you've just moved here and you want to know, what should I do? Should I get a motorbike? Should I get a bicycle? Should I use Grab? Should I use Gojek? Well, let me help you out today. So Vietnam is a country of motorbikes. You probably know that without even Googling anything about Vietnam. Millions and millions and millions of motorbikes in every city, much more than people. And it's definitely the preferred mode of transportation here. But the problem is, it's quite difficult to get a Vietnamese driving license. You can get one in certain cities. I think in Ho Chi Minh you can't at the moment, you just can't get one. If you have a home license, they will convert your home license to the equivalent Vietnamese license, but it'll only last as long as your visa. So at the moment, many visa issues, if you get a 6 month visa, you're just going to get a 6 month license, which is very inconvenient. If you don't want to drive a motorbike here, and I don't blame you, it is terribly dangerous, you can use Gojek, and you can use Grab, and you can use B. These are ride-hailing apps which you can download off Apple or Play Store, and they're really, really good. They don't just offer rides on motorbikes, they offer car rides. You can get food delivered, you can get parcels delivered, sent anywhere. So that would be my number one tip, guys, if you're coming to Vietnam, is to download B, Grab, because they're absolutely everywhere. Even at 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll probably get a Grab within a couple of seconds, and it's cheap. $1.50 take you 4 or 5 kilometers. And if you don't feel safe riding, then get one of these guys to help you out. If you are staying here for more than 3 months, I would recommend that you buy a motorbike, because if you're going to rent one, you're going to be charged around $1 million a month, and that's going to add up pretty quick. You can buy a fairly decent motorbike for about 10 to 12 million. It's going to last you, something like a Nuvo 5, maybe even a Honda Wave if you want to drive a semi-automatic. And that's going to last you a long time. It's going to be cheap to maintain, and it's going to be very convenient for you. So what about other options? Well, if you're a more adventurous type like me, then you can ride a bicycle, or maybe even an e-bike, an electric bike. It's very easy to get a bicycle here, but only in small and medium frame sizes. If you want to get a large frame bicycle, it's very, very difficult, and it took me about a year to get one. This is actually an XL frame, and I managed to get this from an ex-hire company that do tours all over Vietnam, and they were selling off their stock, so I got a good deal on this. But that was just luck of the draw, and it's very, very difficult to find large size bicycles. So if you're over like 5'10", 5'11", and you prefer to ride a larger frame bike, it's very difficult. E-biking is a new thing here. There's one e-bike shop that I know of in Saigon. Unfortunately, when I tried it out the other day, I wasn't very pleased with the service that the owner gave, and I'm not going to recommend it here, because I only recommend things that I think are good value and good customer service, and unfortunately it wasn't great, so I'm not going to recommend it. If you're interested in e-biking, guys, I do know of people who provide kits to convert bikes here. They're kind of like a one-man band type of outfit, and you just order in the battery and the kit, but you have to fit it yourself. So it's not too hard, but you are it is a little tricky. You do have to have a little bit of knowledge of tools and electrics, but not too much. But drop me a message and I can help you in regards to e-bikes. Although it is a thing that's still in its infancy in Vietnam. It's about 10 or 12 years behind China, so you're not going to see e-bikes in the cities like you do in China. Unfortunately, it's still very up and coming here, but I think in a few years we're going to see a lot more. So what about on foot? Well, I like to walk, and as you can probably see, it's not a great city for walking, Saigon. Hanoi is a little better, but it's just not great because there's no parking, so everyone parks on the pavement, and the pavement's all broken, so it's not ideal for walking. There are places where you can walk, but it's not great. And as well as that, you've got the heat and the extremes of climate, so the rain. and it's just too damn hot or too wet. In a city like Nha Trang or Da Nang, then yes, it's a little bit better for walking, but you've still got the extremes of climate there, so you need to be prepared if you're going to go out on foot. So what about if you, what's the Mambi guy? What about if you want to travel around domestically inside the country? Well, the best way to do that is to fly. You have 3 main airlines here at the moment, or is it 4? So Vietnam Airlines, Bamboo and Vietjet. Vietnam Airlines is by far the most reliable and highest quality airline. Bamboo comes a close second, but not as good as Vietnam Airlines in my opinion. And Vietjet is a very poor airline in my opinion. Expected average delay of about 1 to 2 hours with each Vietjet flight, and yeah, it can get quite messy. So it's worth paying a little bit more and going for Vietnam Airlines or Bamboo Airlines if you're going to travel in the country. If you don't care about arriving on time and you don't mind being delayed sort of 2, 3, 4 hours, then yeah, save yourself $20 and book Vietjet, but I wouldn't. So how else can you get around in Vietnam? Well, there is the train. There's a north to south train line, but I haven't a lot of experience with the train because I hear a lot of bad stories about it, but I am going to try it out quite soon. But it tends to be quite slow, and I've heard stories about it being very kind of dirty and expensive, and yeah, it is. It's actually, if you want to have your own cabin or share with 1 or 2 people, it's actually more expensive than flying, and it's going to take you about 12 hours to get up to, I think Nha Trang's about 12 hours from Saigon, whereas you can fly it in like less than an hour. Obviously you've got to factor in the airport waiting times, but you can turn up fairly close to the departure time here and they're not going to penalise you. So if you're here for a while, I'd recommend the train, give it a go, but if you're in a hurry, no. The central part of the country is really nice on the train, the Hai Van, Da Nang area. It's very scenic and very beautiful, and I definitely wouldn't mind checking that out, and I will check that out in the future. So there we go, planes, trains, automobiles, bicycles, electric bikes. What else is there? So what about cars in Vietnam? Well, you can see a lot of cars around, but cars are super expensive here. There's a huge import tax, a luxury goods tax, and other kind of taxes that they slap onto cars here, same as Thailand. So cars are like ridiculously expensive, probably 3 to 4 times what you pay back in the UK or the US, and that means obviously second-hand cars are also very, very expensive. You can buy, in the UK I can pick up quite a good car for about $1,000, right? I mean, it'd be all right, it'll keep me going. Can you buy a car for $1,000 in Vietnam? I highly doubt it. Maybe you can buy a wheel. There's no road tax though in Vietnam, and I think insurance is kind of optional, so you will save a little bit of money on that. But personally, I would never want to drive a car here. It's quite stressful driving a motorbike, and as you can see, it's pretty dangerous. And I drove a lot in the UK from my previous job, so it's nice to not have to drive so much anymore. It's a nice tree-lined street. So what would I recommend if you're first coming to Vietnam in regards to getting around? Well, get your Grab app, your Gojek and your Bee, and try that, see how you feel on the road. Maybe rent a motorbike for 1 month to test it out, or still use Grab and then get yourself a license. So I would recommend a license. A lot of people don't drive with licenses here, but it will stop you from getting fined, and if you get into an accident then you'll be treated a little bit better. So if you're going to be here for a few months or longer, I'd recommend you buy a bike. If not, then I'd say, oh my god, stick to Grab. Must be entering young buffalo territory. So there we go, folks, just a quick informational video for you about how to get around in Vietnam. I hope you enjoyed. Give me a like, a thumbs up, and think about subscribing if you haven't already. I'd love to get your support. Have a fantastic day, guys. Hopefully see you in Vietnam soon.